Well, it's that time of the year again when all of my apricots are becoming ripe. So I went out and picked a few this morning. And I have some cherries that I also had picked a couple of days ago. So the first thing I'm going to do is weigh my apricots. Now I've got, these aren't pitted yet, so I'm going to go ahead and just bring these up. I want to get 1 pound of apricots. There's 1 pound. Actually, we'll put an extra one in because of the pits. And then I'm going to do my cherries, and I'm going to take 3/4 of a pound of cherries. Put those in. There we go. So the first thing that I'm going to do is pit my cherries, and I'm going to take my apricots and just cut those in half, just get the stems out of them. And it's really easy if you've never pitted a cherry. It's very simple. You just, you can use a lot of different methods. For me, I think it's just easiest to use a cherry pitter. So these are the pits, the apricot pits, the cherry pits, and just some pieces of lemon, some paper towels that I used while cleaning the apricots. And I always put these in a plastic bag before I throw them in the trash. You would be shocked how much sugar is still on these fruits just naturally without adding sugar, and I do not want ants. So what I've done is I've run my apricots through a blender, and I've kind of roughly blended my cherries. So I've got this mixture together with a little tiny bit of lemon juice. I'm going to add more lemon juice, but I put this in just so that my apricots would not turn color. So I'm going to go ahead and turn those on a medium heat, and I want to get started cooking my apricot and cherry mixture. So I estimate I probably put in about a tablespoon of fresh lemon juice, and like I said, it was just to keep my apricots and everything really bright. So the recipe calls for 4 tablespoons of bottled lemon juice. So I'm going to go ahead and just put in like 3.5 tablespoons of bottled lemon juice. Just so that I'm following the recipe. Now this is a very small batch of my jam. It's only going to make a couple of pints, but it's going to be plenty for me. So I just wanted to show you, even with the butter, all the foam that's coming up on this fruit. So I am going to go ahead and just kind of skim some of this foam off. It only takes me a couple minutes, and it really does make for a nicer canned product. Now the foam doesn't hurt anything. It just, it just kind of settles on the top of the jars. Some people don't bother with this step. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It really just depends on how much I have. But this actually is making quite a bit of foam, so I'm just going to take some of this off. It only takes a couple of minutes. And you can see it's almost all off now. It's going to continue to make some foam as this thickens up and cooks. Like I said, this is a preserves, so you're not adding any pectin to it. So we're just waiting for it to come up to consistency of a nice preserve jam type consistency, something you can spread on toast or ice cream or something like that. So I'll show you how it looks as soon as we do our jam test and see when it's ready to put in the, see when it's ready to can. So this is how you test to see if your jam or jelly has set up. So all you're gonna do is freeze a plate, put it in the freezer. You're gonna take a little bit of hot jam and just put it right on top of the plate, just like so. You can put it back in the freezer for 1 minute. So after 1 minute, you're gonna take it out of the freezer, and all you're gonna do is take your finger and push up and see if that holds. Now, if it drips down, I mean, it's all gonna drip down a little bit, but you can see it kind of holds that line when you put your finger up. So this jam is done. I'm gonna go ahead and just jar it up for you. Okay, I've got my jars nice and hot. I'm gonna go ahead and scoot this over so I don't have as far to go with this hot jam. And I'm just gonna spoon this jam into hot jars. And this is actually considered a preserves. So I'm gonna pour this in. Hopefully this will give me 2 pints. I'm gonna fill this up 1/4 of the way to the top, just like so. And then I'm going to wipe the lid. I'm gonna just wipe the jar. I'm gonna put a clean lid on. I'm gonna put a clean, what is that called? A band on, and I'm gonna put that back in my boiling water bath canner. So this jar is actually a little bit shy of a pint. So this is, I'm gonna go ahead and seal it anyway, just because I think it helps preserve your jams and jellies longer. And I'm not gonna leave this one in the pantry. I'm actually gonna use this one right away, but we'll go through the same process. Put your clean lid on. You're gonna put a clean band, finger tight, and you're gonna put it right back in the canner. So as soon as these come up to a boil, the canner's already boiling, but once these come up to a rolling boil, I'm gonna time them for 10 minutes. And then I'm gonna leave them in there for 5 more minutes, and then I'm gonna take them out of the canner. Now, what I always do while I'm waiting for my jars to continue their water bath canning is that I clean up all of my mess and I get ready to take them out when they're ready. So these are my 2 pints of apricot cherry jam. I'm just taking these right out of the canner. It's been 10 minutes and then I waited an additional 5 minutes for them to stay in the canner. So these are how beautiful they came out. The cherries made this beautiful red color. It's extremely delicious. My whole house smells like cherries and apricots. It's just wonderful. I can't wait to try it tomorrow. But for tonight, I'm just gonna let it sit on the counter, and they've already sealed. But that's my cherry apricot jam, a small batch.